Okay, friends, this is the last tutorial number 12 of this series, Learning Chess. So what I'm gonna do here is emphasize the way that some pieces move, like I did in the first tutorial, titled "Moving the Pieces." So I'm gonna go back because I don't want for anybody to be a little bit lacking knowledge of what I explained in the first tutorial. So I will start with the pawns very quickly. I'm not gonna give too much time to this, moving the pieces just a little bit. And I say that pawns, there are 8 pawns. So starting the game, like you see here, right there, there are 8 pawns in the front, and behind the pawns for the blacks and the whites, there are the officers, the rooks. There are 2 rooks in each side on the streams of the board, on the left side, and moving to the interior in that line, that row, which is row number 1. There are 2 knights, and there are next to the knights, going more to the interior, are 2 bishops, and the queen and the king. Flanking each one a bishop. So I say that the pieces that can start a game, they're just pawns and knights. They're the only one that can move. All these other pieces, rooks, the bishops, the knight, the queen, and the king are trapped in either side. They cannot move. So starting the game, pawns have the option to move 1 square. They travel to the front when moving. When eliminating the enemy, they only can do that on the side, in the diagonal. So starting the game, I can move this pawn 2 spaces, or if I want, just one square. Or I can do 2 square or 1 square. That's the option that I have starting the game. Afterward, after the pawn has been moved, you just go 1 square at a time. You cannot go 2 square, just 1 square at a time. So that's for the pawns. I explained that pawns, when they have a piece in front of them, the opposite team, they are blocked. They cannot capture that piece. This pawn, this white pawn, cannot capture this black pawn that is in the 5f square. This pawn is in the 4f. It cannot take it. It is blocked. It cannot move. Neither pawn, neither the white or the black pawn can move. They are stopping each other. But if it happens that the black had a pawn here, this white pawn can take it. Likewise, because they take it in the diagonal square, the square that is in diagonal. And likewise, this black pawn here can take this pawn. You cannot take this white, because I said you cannot take the pawn is in front of you. You cannot take the pawns can take any piece, but the piece has to be in diagonal. Pawns can take out of the, when we say take, we'll say you take it and that piece is out of the game. You put it outside, that piece is like a soldier. When a soldier in a battlefield is shot and killed, he's out of the game. He's not anymore in the battle, in the battlefield. He's out of it. So in chess, we use the same analogy. So pawns can take in diagonal, in a square in diagonal, that is the diagonal is adjacent to the position, the square they're occupying. It can take that. It can take a queen. The queen is here. This pawn can take it, and it can take a bishop. Black bishop is right here. It can take it, or it can take a knight. This knight is right here, he can take it. Or here, he can take it. So those are the two options. So that's for the pawns. Another case I wanted to explain to you is the king. The king is the whole purpose of the whole game. The king is the one that the opposite team want to take down, to get out of the kingdom, to kill and capture his kingdom. So the kings, even when they are the main purpose, the main reason for playing a game is to neutralize and checkmate the king. The king only can move one space at a time, like the pawns. But contrary to the pawns, the pawns can move just forward, one square at a time forward, or they capture. They had enemy piece on the side. They can take it. The king is not. It can. This piece here stop. This black piece here can stop the white pawn. The white pawn cannot move, and the white piece cannot take that pawn either. But a king can take it. A king can play one square forward and take a piece. Is there. He cannot take his own pieces. He can take the enemy pieces. Or he can take a piece that is on the side, like the pawns do. The pawns only can capture enemy piece on the side, in the square that is right there with them. Or the king can take a piece. If the black pawn is right here, the king can take it, can move one space. Or the pawn is right here, he can take it, go to the right and take it. He can take the pawn right here. He can take a pawn right here in front of him. So when this king is right there, let's say right here in this position, in 4F, in the square 4F, it has 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 square that he can move to. But once he can move once, all the pieces move once. They cannot be moving right here and later move right there. No, all the pieces in chess move one time. When the turn is for the particular player to move, he just moves his piece one time, and he has to wait for the next chance to move that piece again if he wants to move it, or he wants to move another piece, he can do so as well. But kings can go here. Can go to this square, can move to the 3F, can move to the 3G square, can move to the 4G, can move to the 5G, can move. The only time they cannot move, and that they had a piece of their own, their own team. No, it cannot. This king cannot move here and occupy the space that if white pawn is in the 40 position, he cannot go here and dislodge his own piece and take it out. No, he's blocked there. But he can come here, he can come here, he can come here. In other words, kings can go forward and backward, in diagonal forward and diagonal backward, and they control A square when they are in that place. No? Control 3 to 5 and 3 A square, and this is anywhere in the board. They control A square. So. And the rest of the pieces simple. There are two bishops, 2 knights, and 2 rooks. And right now in this place, in this position right here, only this bishop can move, but the bishop move in his own diagonal. If he has a piece of his own right here, he cannot go jump above that piece and go to the other side. No, he's stopped. So he has 2 square here in diagonal. He can move to that bishop. If that pawn is not there, he can go all the way to the end. If he wants to, he can go all the way. And the same for the black bishops, and the same for the bishops in the black side. They had an option. next, the queen. The queen can do all the move that the other piece in chess do except for the knight. She cannot. The knights move in L. The knights can jump above a piece of their own or above a piece the enemy, and they can jump in L. It say that this white knight here, I can jump it above this bishop, and they go straight forward in a 90 degrees angle, and it can land here, or it can come here, three spaces, T square, and one square to the right, and capture this pawn. So the knight playing L, the only piece in chess that does this, and he can jump above. He can, at the beginning of the game, you can start the game, instead of starting the game moving a pawn, which are the only one movable in the front line, you can move one of your knights and just jump above a piece and land. But the place where you have to land has to be free, or one piece of your own. You cannot. This knight cannot jump here and land where this white pawn is. It cannot do that. But if he had like a black pawn, he can land right there and capture it. Or if he has nothing there, he can also move there and land. Now the queen has the other pieces that move, the rooks that are moved. It's almost in the middle of the game or afterwards. Rook had a great value, so in a game we try to keep it protected, like we protect the king and the queen at the beginning of the game. But afterwards they can move in diagonals. But I'm sorry, they cannot move in diagonals like the bishop, but they can move in columns, and they can move in rows. These are the columns, the one vertical to your chest when you're sitting in front of the board. This is vertical in relation to your chest, or they can move in rows, which are horizontal to your chest, and they run parallel to your chest. Okay, so you're moving right there, and rooks have the option moving one space, or can move all the way. So no pieces right here. This rook, this white rook on my left hand, I can move it from the 3A to the end, the 3H in that row. Or I can move it all the way here and capture this pawn. You cannot capture this piece that is on the another rook is on the back, because the run for this rook is stopped with this pawn. He cannot go ahead and jump over that pawn and capture the rook behind. I cannot do that. It's not part of the game. It's prohibited. And so these are and also the queen has the queen is the most dangerous piece. He has all the move for the other piece. He can move like pawns. He can move like king. He can move like the bishop in diagonal. The only move that the queen cannot do is as I explained before, the knight move in L. One square to the left or one square to the right, and then through in vertical in front, making 90 degrees angle with the square that you move to. So, but the queen can go. They can go They can go in columns, and they can go in rows, or they can go in diagonal. And the same, when they had a piece of their own, that's the end. They cannot go. That queen here is limited. Moving this square here, it cannot land its own knight and take it out. No, it has to land before the knight. If he had an enemy piece right there, he can go all the way and take that piece in that square. Eliminate the piece from the game and take possession of that square right there. So this is the move from these pieces. This is just a recap of what I talked in the other tutorials, and now we're gonna see something else. In chess, there is something that I didn't explain before in the other tutorials. I left it for the end, which is now. This is the last tutorial where I'm gonna be teaching chess. So there are some rules that exist in chess, and the rule can be changed according to what kind of game are we playing. Are we playing a championship game against another person? Are we or are we just playing a friendly game with our friends or family, whatever, family members or whatever? In friendly games, just the rule that I explained, where the pieces move, those applicable in that case. But in regular tournaments, in serious game, no, where sometimes a prize is involved and money is involved, there are some rules that are set. One of the rules is this one. When playing a friendly game with our neighbor or with a friend of mine, a schoolmate or whatever, and sometimes we don't use, if we are not playing speed chess, that I explained in the last tutorial number 10, what speed chess is all about. In speed chess, the clock is used because that's the essence of the game, to defeat the opponent, not sometimes by checkmating it, but by forcing him to lose by time, which is very reduced. As I said before, the time can be set for each player at 1 minute, and sometimes 5 minutes, and those are the large game, 5 minutes, 8 minutes. So the time clock has tremendous importance in speed chess, and also in championship game when they're playing adversaries in a tournament. So the speed chess is set. In regular tournament and championship, the time sometimes fluctuates between 2 hours, and they put it 2 hours and a half for each player. So there are 5 hours that the game can last. If the players take all the time available to them and they think much, then they enlarge the duration of the game is for all the time permitted, which is 5 hours, 2 hours and a half for each player. So these are the time rule for the players are using a clock, where they can lose the game by time, not necessarily by checkmating the opponent, not necessarily by the opponent resigning, and so they can win the game when the flag or the white flag fall or the black flag fall. The game is over for the team that lost, the person that lost or the player that lost the time. So those are rules that are set regarding time. There are other rules that are applicable to chess game, and pretty much they're all just in advanced tournaments where advanced players are playing tournaments, and they had the rule of the clock. They had other rules, but this rule I'm talking about is sometimes the game is some players just they pick up a piece. So in not regular, not the professional game, a player take let's say a pawn here, and keep the pawn in his hand, lift it up from the square where it is. This pawn is in 2e. Lift it up from the 2e square, keep it in his hand, and sometimes put the pawn back in 2e, and then they try to pick up this other pawn in 2f and keep it in his hand. That is not permitted in certain games when rules are applied, that if you touch a piece and you lift it up, you have to play that piece. Be a pawn, be a rook, be a bishop, be queen, the king, whatever. When you pick up the piece and lift it up from the square, above the square, you have to play that piece. There are some flexibilities in this. Sometimes this is permitted. You can lift the piece, but then you move it. Once you lift it out, you move it to they say from 2E to 3E. In this square in 3E, I move my pawn from 2E to 3E. Okay, and after I move that piece, I want to take it back, and that's absolutely not permitted in tournaments. You cannot do that. You cannot put a piece once you lift the piece and move it forward and set it in a square. That is final. That's your move, and you have to live with it. Whether the move was good or bad, you have to live with that move there. So those rules are applicable in case of serious matches. No, so serious matches. Even when friends of yours, you say those rules are laws that you have to obey by. You have to obey these laws. So in friendly game with your little sister and your brother and your friend and your schoolmate and your college buddy, sometimes when a player is an advanced player is playing one that is not advanced, so this is actually in the process of learning, there is much flexibility. These rules don't apply. It's even more of this. No, I had played games many years ago when I was playing with somebody, a friend of mine, that they were learning, and they make a move and they lost a big piece. Let's say they say they had this black knight right here, okay, and that black knight was like a frisbee because I have my pawn here. I can take it, and a pawn is more valuable than a knight. Knight is 5.5 times more valuable than a pawn that is said to be just one. So when I did it, the person I was playing with, oh, I didn't see that. Oh, can I take the move back? And so because I knew that I was playing with somebody that had disadvantage in knowledge about how to play chess, yes, sure, you take it back. So, and sometimes I did checkmate somebody at the beginning of the game. The novice players sometimes they do error, which is according to their knowledge. So they do error. So I have put my bishop right here in 4. I got it from 1C, and I put it in this diagonal in the 4F square. So so I put it there. And he made another move, whatever, and then I had let's say I had a knight here, no? So he moved and attacked my knight, but then I come here and check him. 7C is just protected by the queen, and I'm using a knight that is 5.5 value. The queen is unlimited value. It's the most valuable piece in the chess game. So I'm checking the king, and I just not checking the king. If the queen don't take my knight, I'm checkmating the king because my knight's attacking L, so it's attacking this square here, AE. And this square here, where the king is in AG. So I'm checking the king. The queen has mandatorily to take that knight of mine. So the queen comes and take my knight in 7C, and I have my bishop here in 4F attacking that square in 6C. I take his queen, so he lost the most precious piece, the most precious valuable piece is the black king, the black queen. The defending the king, so he lost that piece. So this game is pretty much the blacks are in pretty much big trouble. So in cases like that, the person that you are playing with, novice or whatever, I say, oh, I didn't see that. Can I take my piece back? I say, yeah, sure, take it. What can I do? I will feel guilty if I don't take the piece, though, because I know they're learning still. But that's not permitted in professional players. They never do that. They would laugh with you. You ask, oh, can I take my piece back? No, this is final. Once you move that piece in a particular square, that's final. You lose whatever it is. You're going to lose by making that move, you lose. There's no pity, no mercy, nothing. You just lost the piece. And if somebody had checkmate you, if somebody had checkmate you and you don't say, oh, no checkmate, let me take a move back. No, that's not allowed. So those are the some rules that if you learn this well and you try to play in tournaments, try to find out the rules for that particular tournament, the rules for that particular match that you're going to play, and see these rules. You pick up the piece and lift it up, you have to play. If that rule is not in place, then you can pick up the piece and put it back. You decide to move another piece. And the other rules are just common in professional games. They don't have to tell you the rules. When you move a piece to a place and you move one, when I move my rook to one particular place, or my bishop, my knight, or any of my pawns, or my queen, or my king, that's final. It's understood by the players, the advanced players, that there is not going to be any pity there. So you lose the game, you lose it because you make a mistake. You made a mistake, you were not thinking clearly, and you lost it. So this is pretty much what I wanted to explain to you. I hope that my tutorial has been of any help to you. And I hope also that you may try chess as a way of learning some discipline in thinking. Remember, I told you that when a chess game is played by advanced players, or not necessarily advanced player, but a player that had passed the green state now, that has played many games, and they start learning pretty much the openings that they should do and how they should move their places. But one thing they all do is thinking, what's the consequence of me moving this piece here? So what happens? Respond, how I respond, and if my response is going to be a good move, or are going to be penalized by losing position, losing a strategy, and losing a piece. So the strategy is just gone. I lose position, everything else, that's not a good move that I can make. So players used to think when one player plays something, it's because he analyzed all the possibilities, all the responses that can come from the opponent player, and they think this. Remember, I put a likelihood or similitude of this, what happens in real life, like when you you're planning on buying shares for a company, you have to check that company and see if your money is going to be safe, or that share that you're going to buy for that company is the value of that share is going to go down because the company is going to go down, lose capital value, and you have to think all these options. When you're crossing a street, you have to make sure that no car is coming before you put a step on the street, and just teach you the discipline of being analytical about the consequences of every step you make in your life. And every step you take has to be analyzed. It has to be thought of, and so they're not. So you're gonna have adverse consequences for your acts. So in this sense, chess for advanced players, for those who play in championship and all that, they have trained themselves to be analytical about the consequence of every single move, and sometimes they can think 5, 6, 7, 8 move ahead. So if I move this piece right now, what is going to be the response of mine? Now the second response, what can I do to counteract this? And so there has to be an analysis of the how the pieces are spread out in the board, and how the rationale is how I take advantage of every move that I make. How that can be convenient to me. How that can take me to the end result, that is the defeat of the opponent king, either by checkmating him or by causing to resign, or by losing by time. The end result is gonna be always the defeat of the opponent king. So, but if you want to play, you don't want to be analytical. You don't want chess is also for you. You can play chess like you play checkers. Like you play checkers, you play chess, just moving and having fun with it, and hoping that you can win. You don't have to stress your brain just thinking, do too much thinking. Just go ahead and play the game, and it can be exhilarating. Or play just speed chess is the most exhilarating game that you can have. You just put when you're playing, you see your time is short, and that causes tremendous desire to play faster, and to not just to play faster, but every single move that you have is better than the move that the opponent can do. So there is chess for everyone appetite. If somebody wants to play chess by having fun, speed chess is one. Or play a game without the clock. It's also playing fast, and two non-professional, non-advanced players can finish the game in 10 minutes. And that's not a speed chess in 10 minutes, but they can finish the game. So a very, very quick response. All the pieces, all the move responded very quickly. So this is all I have for you. I asked you forgiveness for I wanted to get a bigger chessboard and bigger pieces so they can be more visible in the camera, but I couldn't. Somehow I lost the set I have. I had to buy this set in emergency from Amazon, and the pieces it's a good chess set, but it's not. The pieces are not that big. Another clarification I want to make. We say that in chess that there are white pieces and black pieces, but this is not so. When they started the games, I don't know how many millennia ago or 2 millennia ago, when they started to play chess, they used to have the pieces white and black. It's nothing racist about this or anything like that. It's just to differentiate the pieces, no. The color white is opposed completely to the color black. There are the two in chromology. There are the opposing color, black and white. There are the opposing, like salt and sugar are the opposing each other. Like light and darkness are the opposing, the opposite of each other. And so it's in chess. So they have these pieces black and white at the beginning. But today you can find. Actually, these pieces are not, the pieces that I'm using right now are not white or black, they're beige. My white pieces are beige color, and the black, what they're supposed to be the black pieces are brown, dark brown. And there are many other different colors that I use. The important thing is that the two pieces are not confused with being one piece. So if I play my pawn here, that pawn has to be my pawn. And he's play his pawn here, his pawn has to be a different color. So then, the same that happened with the football team or the soccer players. There are two teams playing against each other, and the colors in the uniform are different. So they don't be confused in the field when they're playing. So I wish you luck learning this. You decide to give it a try and learn it. As I said, this is the last tutorial. I'm not going to be posting much tutorial. I might later on, many months from now, maybe they have like a championship or whatever, and I want to replay what the players in the championship have played, and I want to show you why they make every single move in that particular game or championship. But I'm not going to be posting anymore right now. This is tutorial number 12, and that's the final one. So whatever you do, be good, and good luck to you and everything you try in life. And it has been a pleasure for me to teach this how chess is played. Okay, bye-bye.